Before sleep, you enter the only moment of the day when you don't need to pretend, control, or prove anything to the world. It's the instant when masks fall, defenses dissolve, and all that remains is what you truly believe about yourself. Most people use this moment in the worst possible way, reliving mistakes, mentally arguing about situations that are already over, repeating worries like a mantra of fear. They don't realize that in these final minutes, they are planting tomorrow. The subconscious doesn't argue, question, or interpret. It simply accepts what you deliver when the conscious mind surrenders to sleep. And that's precisely where the power reveals itself. In the silence before falling asleep, when the barrier between what you imagine and what you experience becomes thinner than ever. If you don't use this moment consciously, it will use you. You will continue waking up within the same circumstances, carrying the same emotions, repeating the same pattern. But when you learn to direct this moment, everything changes. Because before you sleep, you're not just resting, you're ordering your reality to deliver what you want to find when you open your eyes. It's simple, but profound. Your life doesn't respond to the effort of the day. It responds to the state in which you fall asleep. That's why what you do in these minutes is often the real turning point between a repeated life and a created life. Each night is a door, and each door leads to a different state. Today, you will learn how to cross it with intention. Erasing the day isn't just forgetting what happened. It's removing from your consciousness everything that, if taken into sleep, will turn into more of the same tomorrow. It's an act of inner authority, like someone who deliberately decides not to allow the recent past to infiltrate the future that is being created. When you lie down, the natural tendency of the mind is to revisit every detail, the conversation that bothered you, the worry that remained unresolved, the failure that hurt, the doubt that settled in. But all of this belongs to an old state, and if you accept it as true during these final minutes, the subconscious records that state as your starting point. That's why so many people wake up already tired, irritated, anxious, as if they were restarting a cycle that never ends. The mind didn't sleep freely, it slept burdened. Erasing the day is a gradual process. First, recognize that everything that happened from the moment you woke up was just an expression of your previous state, not a definition of your future. This eases resistance because you no longer feel you need to justify anything. Then, start mentally untying the knots that insist on staying. If a thought tries to return, you don't fight it. You simply observe it and let it pass like a leaf being carried by a slow river. The idea is to reach a point where you are no longer reacting to what you experienced. Reaction is repetition. Silence is creation. As you relax, realize that many emotions of the day don't need to be kept. The accumulated frustrations, the subtle fears, the feeling of inadequacy. All of these are temporary states, but the subconscious assumes them as permanent if you sleep within them. So, consciously decide, this is not going with me to sleep. With each breath, release a little more. Release anxiety as if letting go of a weight that doesn't belong in your hands. Release the hurry, because it only exists in wakefulness. Release control, because sleep is precisely the space where creation continues without your conscious effort. Gradually, you will notice that there is a point of neutrality. It's not happiness yet, it's not visualization, it's not manifestation. It's just a clean void, an inner silence. This moment is precious because the subconscious understands this neutrality as fertile ground. It knows that when the day is finally erased, any new state can be planted. This is what differentiates those who create consciously from those who only react. Those who create know how to clear the ground first. And erasing the day doesn't mean denying what happened, but freeing yourself from the obligation to carry everything. It means recognizing that nothing you experience today has power over what you will choose to experience tomorrow. It's looking inward and understanding that sleep is the place where you deliver to the subconscious only what you want to perpetuate. And if what you experience today doesn't align with what you want to experience, it doesn't deserve to accompany you to the pillow. Thus, erasing the day is a discipline of inner detachment. It's the act of saying to yourself, I end this state here. I leave it where it belongs. I don't take it into the night, because the night is sacred. The night is creation. And when you finally reach that silence, you open space for the new. The old dissolves, and the door to the desired state opens. To choose a single state, you need to abandon the idea that manifestation is an accumulation of requests, scattered desires, or loose goals. Before sleep, The consciousness doesn't work with lists. It works with an identity. It doesn't ask what do you want to have, but who are you deciding to be? When you try to assume several states at the same time, prosperous, loved, healed, confident, victorious, you become divided internally, and the subconscious cannot react to a fragmented consciousness. The power is in unity, and unity is born from choice. When you lie down, having already erased the previous day, all that remains is a clean field, ready to receive a single command. This command is not a sentence, it's not a request, it's not a prayer in the begging sense of the term. It's a silent decision. A decision that you feel, not that you formulate. It's like entering a dark room and turning on only one light. All attention turns to it. The rest disappears. It should be the same with the desired state. It becomes the center of your consciousness at that instant. To do this, ask yourself, if I could choose only one thing for my subconscious to work on tonight, what would it be? Don't choose out of desperation, but out of clarity. Choose what, when assumed, will naturally organize all other areas of your life. Often people want to solve 10 issues at the same time, when in fact, there is a single state that, if assumed, would dissolve all other difficulties. Prosperity resolves financial insecurities. Self-love resolves unbalanced relationships. Healing resolves emotional and physical limitations. Confidence resolves internal sabotages. After choosing the state, don't describe details, paths, or conditions. Forget the how. Sleep doesn't work with linear logic. The subconscious transforms states into concrete paths without you needing to interfere. Your role is only to choose the essence, the central axis of what you want to be. And this choice must be firm, even if silent. As you close your eyes, let the idea of that state become familiar. Not as a distant goal, but as something intimate, already known to you. Familiarity is one of the strongest signs of subconscious acceptance. If it seems strange, distant, or impossible, keep getting closer to it, not through effort, but through relaxation. The more you relax, the closer the chosen state gets to you, because resistance decreases and acceptance increases. Choosing a single state is like selecting the station of your mind. If you change constantly, everything gets confused. But when you fix the tuning, the message arrives clear, and the subconscious responds with precision. Before sleeping, remember, you're not asking for something external to happen. You are internally assuming what you want to see reflected tomorrow. And the state you choose, if sustained with sincerity, inevitably becomes the state that the world will have to confirm. Each night is an opportunity to define who you will be at dawn, and it all starts with this singular choice. Entering the feeling as if it were real is the point where imagination ceases to be fantasy and becomes creation. It's not about inventing exaggerated scenes, nor about trying to see everything with perfect details. What really moves the subconscious is not the image, but the internal feeling that accompanies that image. When you choose a state, prosperity, healing, love, confidence, you need to feel it from within as something already established, not as something distant that you hope to achieve. The most common mistake is to imagine from the outside, like someone who observes the desired life through the window. This keeps the desire as something separate from you. The subconscious doesn't understand distance, it understands identity. That's why you shouldn't look at the desired state, you should enter it. To begin, realize that the feeling doesn't need to be intense, it needs to be true. If you desire prosperity, instead of trying to visualize money, houses, trips, ask yourself, how does someone prosperous feel right now in the silence of the night? Perhaps it's a feeling of security, of relief, of stability, a looser breath, a quietness that replaces worry. If you desire healing, perhaps the feeling is a soft well-being, a deep relaxation in the body, a lightness that contrasts with the tension you were carrying. If you desire love, perhaps it's the internal warmth of belonging, a peace that doesn't depend on anyone, the certainty that you are sufficient and valued. The feeling is not created by effort, it is welcomed by surrender. The more you try to force it, the farther it gets. So relax the body, allow the images to come naturally without demanding perfection. Let the mind form small fragments, a simple phrase, a body posture, a look, an environment. And from that, let the corresponding feeling arise. The feeling should start subtly and gradually become natural, not something you are trying to achieve, but something that seems familiar, as if it has been yours for a long time. This is the point where the subconscious begins to accept. What you feel should be experienced as present, not as promise. If the mind tries to push the state into the future, one day, when it happens, when I get it, stop and return to the essence. This is how I feel now, because this is already mine. The conscious mind may insist on questioning, but the feeling responds with tranquility. Don't argue with thoughts that try to deny. Don't try to convince them. Just return to the feeling, like someone who returns home whenever they get distracted. In this process, breathing is an ally. Inhale slowly, allowing the body to enter the state as if adjusting to a garment that fits. The feeling should become comfortable, almost inevitable, as if it has always belonged to you. When it stabilizes, the subconscious receives the command. It doesn't receive verbal instructions nor complex reasoning. It only receives what you feel as truth. And when that internal truth is established, the external world becomes just the mirror that will come to confirm it. Entering the feeling is the moment when desire ceases to be a desire. It becomes an internal fact. And for the Lord, that is enough. Creation begins when the feeling settles, silent, simple and profound, as if you were just remembering something that is already yours by right. Falling asleep within the new state is the decisive point of the whole process. It's the instant when the conscious mind withdraws and the subconscious takes command without resistance. Everything you've done so far, erasing the day, choosing the state, feeling the feeling as real, prepares the ground for this final moment. Because in the second when the body begins to yield to sleep, you stop controlling and start being controlled by the state you sustained. That's exactly why the minutes before falling asleep are so powerful. They determine the mold in which the subconscious will work throughout the night. And the subconscious, unlike the conscious mind, doesn't argue, judge, or question. It just executes. The key here is not to abandon the assumed state. Many people do everything right until they reach this point. They choose, feel, surrender. But when it's time to sleep, they allow old thoughts of worry, fear, or doubt to steal the scene. And what happens? It is that old state that the subconscious receives as a command. That's why so many wake up within the same emotional cycle, because they slept within it. To avoid this, you need to remain firm in the chosen feeling, even if it's soft, even if it's small, even if it seems just a thread of consciousness. You don't need to maintain vivid images, nor intense emotions. The important thing is to maintain the internal quality of the state. Just a specific tranquility, a feeling of it's mine, a lightness in the chest, a silent certainty. When intrusive thoughts arise, and they will arise, you don't fight them. Fighting is leaving the state. Instead, you simply return to the feeling. Like someone who, when distracted, returns to supporting the body in a comfortable position. It's a natural return, not forced. A calm return, without hurry. At this moment, the body begins to weigh down. The muscles relax, the breathing deepens, the mind loses clarity. You are entering the border between wakefulness and sleep, and that border is the altar of creation. It is there that the new state, sustained without effort, plunges deep into the subconscious. It is there that the how and the when disappear, because the state becomes an internal fact. And internal facts don't ask permission to express themselves externally. They unfold on their own. Surrender is essential. Don't try to stay conscious. Don't try to control sleep. Don't try to keep the mind awake to remember the process. This only creates tension, and tension moves the state away. Sleep should come naturally, silently, carrying with it the chosen feeling as a last impression. It's like handing a seed to the earth. Your work ends at planting. The earth does the rest. When you fall asleep within the state you chose, even if for a few seconds, the subconscious receives that state as an order. It's not a request. It's not a plea. It's not an attempt. It's a silent declaration. And as the law always responds to what is established internally, the external begins to adjust. Sometimes in subtle ways, sometimes in abrupt ways, but always in a way that is faithful to the command you delivered in the instant of surrender. Falling asleep within the state is the moment when you stop desiring and start being. It's the point where creation ceases to be theory and becomes inevitable. And when sleep takes you, the state goes with you. And that's what transforms the night into an ally, and reality into a servant of what you decided to assume. When you understand what happens in those minutes before sleeping, you realize that you have never been asking anything of the universe. You have always been ordering her, not with words, not with effort, but with the state you are carrying into sleep. From today, this needs to be clear. The world doesn't respond to what you desire during the day, when you are divided, anxious, or reacting to events. It responds to what you accept as truth. When your consciousness surrenders and the subconscious takes control, it's at that instant that your life is shaped. Each night you have the opportunity to end one identity and assume another. to close the cycle of everything you no longer want, and inaugurate, in silence, what you want to live. You don't accomplish this by asking, waiting, begging for signs. You accomplish it by choosing a state, feeling it as real, and falling asleep within it as someone who delivers a decree to their own existence. Nothing can resist this process because creation happens from the inside out, and sleep is the door through which everything you assume crosses into the physical world. So, from today, don't deliver worries, frustrations, fears, or old memories to the pillow. Deliver a state. Just one. Deliver it calmly, naturally, with silent conviction. What you feel while falling asleep will inevitably be what you find ahead, sometimes tomorrow, sometimes in a few days, but always in a way that is consistent with what you planted. Stop begging for external changes. Stop waiting for the world to confirm something you haven't yet accepted internally. Take the posture of creator, not of beggar. Before sleeping, silence the old, assume the new, and let sleep seal what you decided. Do this night after night with discipline and confidence, and you will see that reality, slow but obedient, will have to bend before what you sustain in consciousness, because nothing surpasses the state you carry into sleep. It's there that creation begins. It's there that everything changes.